Welcome to this discussion on the oil prices and why they are rising, what are the options before the government, and what is the politics behind this. I have with me Anilesh Mahajan, my colleague in Business Today, who covers this not just from the oil angle but also from the political angle. Anilesh, let's start with the first issue of why are the prices, international prices, let's start with. Why is international price for crude at such a high at $80? It get crossed, it has just settled under 80, but it's likely that it will get to somewhere around $100 very soon. At least that's what the oil producing companies and some of the analysts are beginning to predict. So let's break it down for the reasons behind why is crude at $80 now, and is it going to go up or is it going to go down?
Rajiv, the basic reason for the crude oil prices going up is that in Middle East, especially the OPEC countries, along with Russia, they have decided to continue with their
Production
cuts. And secondly, it is coupled with the America's announcement of putting in sanctions on the Iranian crude oil. So if you remember correctly, Iran is one of those OPEC countries which refused to abide by this embargo. So they were gradually ramping up their production, and if we think from the Indian perspective, they were right now our third most. They are the third biggest supplier of crude oil to India, and their supplies would have doubled this year, which was the commitment which we gave to Rouhani when he came to India. Mm-hmm. So these are the two big reasons why crude oil prices are jacking up. And thirdly, there are issues related to US shales as well. When we spoke to IEA's executive director Fateh Baroli, when he was here in India, he was saying that US is having a capacity of ramping up the crude oil production any day. But we are seeing that shale gas and shale oil assets in US, they are not performing as per the expectation. So
that oil that was expected to come towards the end of April, early May has not landed in the market, and so prices have continued to rise. There was another reason which is about the refinery shutdowns in the Middle East. That's also
Rajiv, refinery shutdowns in US, Europe, and Middle East, because Middle East largely caters to those refineries largely cater to Europe. They undergo maintenance shutdown for 45 days during this period, April-May, because their throughput is higher in the winters, because oil is largely used as a heating element in the European countries and in the US. Mm-hmm. So it is the spike in petroleum and diesel prices is expected during May and April, May and June. This type of quarter.
Okay, so that is largely because the annual maintenance is a regular affair. It happens around the world. It happens in India as well, and in the Middle East it happens just before the winter sets in, so that the refineries are ready to produce through the winter without any breakdowns or any stoppage. Unleash, the second thing that people would like to know is, what are the options before the government now that we are petrol is at an all-time high, diesel is at an all-time high. In Mumbai, it has crossed 84 rupees to a litre of petrol. What are the options available before the government? Petroleum Minister Dharmendra Pradhan has said that they are looking at solutions. What could be those solutions?
See, Rajiv, there are roughly around 3 to 4 type of solutions which are available right now. One solution is that government should cut down on the excise duty as well as on the VAT, which generally states levy. Second option is that
so let's go with the first one. First one is going to cost the government, I think, something around 13,000 crore per rupee 1 reduction in taxes. That's a bitter pill to swallow.
Yeah, right. During this year's budget, the projection of Government of India is that they want to collect roughly around 2 lakh and 58 lakh 50,000 crores of revenues from petroleum products excise. 42% of that will go to states, and with the rest of the amount, that is pumping up several of the social sector schemes and infrastructure funding, which which is happening from the government's balance sheet.
Correct.
This is a huge sum. So excise,
So excise cut and VAT cut is one option. The second option?
Even in this, government need to understand that if, they continue with the status quo, that will lead to inflation.
Sure.
Our calculations, which are on the lines of Chief Economic Advisor Arvind Subramaniam's formula, which he presented in the economic survey, that roughly around 20 bps to 30 bps inflation would happen if $10 of prices go up of crude and as well as of this. So with this calculation, by end of this year, we'll be having 1 to 2% rise in inflation. That means there would be erosion of revenues, because they are looking at expenditure.
Yeah. So it will slow down the economy also.
It will slow down the economy. It will slow down the buying capacity,
right,
both of the government as well as the public.
Yeah.
So government need to do this calculation that if they reduce excise duty, this can help them to curtail the inflation and improve the buying capacity, which they require.
Sure.
So
the second option. But that's not something that is not how the government is seeing it right now.
Because of the politics, because we are into the last year of this government.
So we'll come to politics again. What is the second option then? The second option is the GST.
But it's very difficult to make states understand that it is in the benefit of consumers. It is in benefit of center government, but it is not in the benefit of the revenues of state governments.
Yeah.
So they still need to stabilize, whether the GST inflows of theirs, they can maintain their expenditure or not. How much they can, reduce their catch in these revenues.
Yeah.
So these need to be calculated. So states
GST
are not ready.
again, unless GST again, I think even if you impose an 18% GST, it will still amount to almost a 2 lakh crore hit as far as the government is concerned, both the central and the state.
Even if GST comes in, you don't expect 18%.
Yeah.
It will be on the highest side. So it will
28.
be 28% plus cess. So this is the offer which Finance Ministry gave to the states. So we should not expect 18%. Yeah.
The third option is of the Asian premium and how to curtail the Asian premium, right? That's what we were discussing. So what is the Asian premium really?
See, Asian premium is the premium which Saudis and other OPEC countries, they charge on the freight movement which is happening towards the east, that is towards India, China, Japan, Taiwan, South Korea,
the Asian
region. And their logic is that the freight movement towards the west, they have a better market, better organized stuff. So on the return, they get on return journey, they get a better deals. So they charge roughly around 20 cents to $3 for the crude oil reaching India. And in Japan, it goes as high as $8, $9. So what India is doing is that India has already formed a consortium with China
and Japan also.
And Japan may join.
Correct.
So right now, China as well as Indian Oil is developing a consortium so that they can negotiate. It's a very
and it's a long-term solution. You have to negotiate with the countries.
No, right now there is no consensus between India and China.
Absolutely.
There is only one consensus, that there should be a new buyers club.
And finally, Anlesh, what is the politics of it? I mean, to have such high prices of petrol and diesel, which impact everybody in an election year, what really is the government thinking? What is BJP thinking? What is the ruling party thinking?
Rajiv, I am in conversation with many of the BJP leaders for last 15-20 years, especially on this topic. So what the sense I am getting is that they are seeing that no longer middle class is their core voter base, but they are forgetting that middle class continues to be their biggest cadre base. They are seeing that it is shifting towards poor and Dalits and the bottom of the pyramid people. But and their calculation is that 116 social sector schemes where they are directly reaching out to these people, and their calculation is that there are roughly around 30 crore people who are getting benefit of these schemes across country. And in last 2014 general election, BJP got 17 crore votes, which amounted to 32% of the voter base. And they are saying that even if 60%, 70% of these guys vote, along with the major chunk of their core base, they are through.
So they are expecting the Dalits to be able to take them through, but they are forgetting the fact that Dalits are equally impacted by inflation.
Yeah. In fact, the counter argument which I gave to these people is that poor Dalit and people who are living out of the city limits, they are hit more by inflation.
Right.
Because when product reaches these their localities, freight is again added to those products, so it will hit them more. But their thinking is that we are using this 2.57 lakh crore rupees to invest in creating infrastructure which are giving them employment,
infrastructure and social benefits, and other subsidies things. And stuff like
so
that.
Which they are saying that is helping them to earn directly.
Correct.
So that is their logic.
So that's where the politics is, that's where the economics is, and finally the options before the government are really limited. And it seems that of the three options, they are likely to go with excise and possibly VAT cuts in small measures to start with, so that they could bring some relief to the government in the run-up to the elections.
In fact, Ministry of Petroleum is writing letters to all the state chief ministers, and many of them are finance ministers of those states as well, to cut down the VAT. But they are forgetting that charity begins at home. They need to cut their thing first.
Absolutely.